The invitation to the unveiling. The message arrived in the early hours of January 3rd, 2025. It wasn't transmitted through satellites, radio waves, or any known human technology. It simply appeared on every government server, every classified military database, every major research institution's mainframe, at the same time. It was an invitation. The Zenari Consortium welcomes your species to the Galaxy Unpacked Summit of 2025. Attendance is both an honor and an opportunity. Prepare a delegation. A transport will arrive in 7 Earth days. The attached coordinates pointed to a distant system, far beyond the reach of human exploration. The message was signed by High Chancellor Vecker of the Zenari High Council. For the first time in human history, undeniable proof of extraterrestrial intelligence had arrived, and they wanted to meet. A global emergency summit was convened within hours. Presidents, prime ministers, military generals, and top scientists crowded into secure conference rooms across the world. Panic and speculation filled the air. Was this a trap? A test? A joke? Dr. Elena Kovac, one of the world's leading minds in artificial intelligence and quantum mechanics, leaned back in her chair, absorbing the discussions. The arguments were predictable. The Americans wanted a strong military presence. The Europeans and Asians urged diplomacy. The corporations, always lurking in the background, saw profit. But to Kovac, one fact was clear: humanity wasn't being asked. It was being summoned. 7 days later, they stood on a classified airstrip in Nevada, watching as the sky split open. The Zenari transport ship descended without a sound. It was massive, 3 kilometers long, sleek, and eerily smooth, as if grown rather than built. Its surface shimmered with colors the human eye struggled to process. A single, elongated ramp extended downward. No visible weapons. No visible crew. Just an open pathway. Commander David Reynolds, leading the military component of the delegation, exchanged glances with Kovac. He had been skeptical from the start. But now, staring at this alien marvel, skepticism gave way to something else. Hell of a first impression, he muttered. The delegation, scientists, diplomats, military officers, stepped forward. The moment they crossed the threshold, reality warped. The sky above Nevada blinked out. The air turned heavy. The transport was already moving. Earth vanished behind them. As the ship traversed the galaxy at impossible speeds, the humans watched in silence, awed by the sheer scale of what lay beyond. Stars burned in distant spirals. Colossal space stations loomed over planets the color of molten gold. Fleets of ships, some the size of cities, moved in orchestrated formations. They were ants stepping into the domain of giants. But something in Kovac's gut told her humanity would not stay small for long. The great reveal. The transport ship emerged from faster-than-light travel above Zenith Prime, the capital of the Zenari Consortium. From orbit, it was a shimmering sphere of light, crisscrossed with immense energy highways and towering structures that stretched beyond the clouds. Space around it was crowded with ships of every conceivable design: living bioships, crystalline constructs, and vessels the size of entire continents. Commander David Reynolds stood beside Dr. Elena Kovac as the human delegation stared in stunned silence. "This place makes Earth look like a backwater town," Reynolds muttered. Kovac didn't respond. She was too busy taking it all in. The sheer scale. The technological gap. Humanity was centuries, maybe millennia, behind. A soft chime echoed through the transport bay, followed by a voice that resonated not just in their ears, but in their minds. "Welcome, humanity. The summit awaits." The delegation was led into a colossal amphitheater, an open-air structure capable of housing billions. The sheer size of it was disorienting. Platforms, suspended in anti-gravity, held different species, each wildly distinct. Some were towering and crystalline, others amorphous and shifting. The air was filled with layered conversations in alien languages, yet the human delegation could somehow understand them all. A central stage dominated the arena, where the Zenari High Council stood, tall, sleek beings with elongated skulls and violet-hued skin. Their leader, High Chancellor Vecker stepped forward. "Let the unveiling of progress begin," he announced, his voice carrying both grandeur and expectation. One by one, different civilizations showcased their latest technological marvels. The Zelthari presented a neural link interface that allowed direct, thought-based control over machines. The Orvas unveiled a quantum singularity reactor, an energy source that, according to them, was the pinnacle of efficiency. The Zenari, ever the dominant force, displayed their crowning achievement, the OmniMind quantum AI. A massive structure materialized in the center of the stage. Ethereal, shifting, its form defied logic. It wasn't just a machine. It was a consciousness. Vecker raised his hands. The OmniMind sees all. It predicts all. It has mapped the future of every species, including your own. A shimmering display appeared before the audience, showing human history, technology, and projected growth. The final result appeared in bold symbols. Predicted galactic relevance, 0.0004%, insignificant. Estimated time to notable advancement, 10,000 Earth years. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Some aliens gave sympathetic glances. Others dismissed humanity outright. Kovac clenched her fists. Reynolds stiffened. It wasn't just an insult. It was a declaration. The Zenari had already decided humanity's fate, and they were wrong. The unexpected challenger. Silence hung over the human delegation like a heavy fog. The OmniMind's verdict, 10,000 years of irrelevance, still lingered in the air, accompanied by the quiet chuckles of alien diplomats and scientists. Dr. Elena Kovac's jaw tightened. The Zenari had laid out their judgment, as if it were fact, as if humanity's trajectory was nothing more than a predetermined calculation. She exhaled slowly, then stepped forward. "We would like to present something of our own." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The Zenari hadn't expected humanity to participate. It was meant to be an observation exercise, a reminder of their place. High Chancellor Vecker tilted his head, amusement flashing across his violet eyes. "Very well, human. The floor is yours." A low hum resonated as the amphitheater's central platform adjusted, scanning for any transmissions from Earth. The human delegation had come prepared, though none expected they would actually get the chance to speak. Kovac nodded to her team. A small drone hovered forward, projecting a live holographic display. "This is the Erebus quantum reactor," she announced, voice steady. "A prototype power core developed entirely on Earth." A new wave of murmurs swept through the gathered civilizations. The Zelthari, the very species that had unveiled their own quantum reactor minutes earlier, suddenly stiffened. Their leader, a towering figure with obsidian black skin, stepped forward, eyes narrowing. "Impossible. Your species should not have reached this level of engineering." Kovac ignored the skepticism. She swiped a control interface, displaying energy output data. The Erebus reactor's efficiency ratings appeared in glowing symbols, rivaling, if not surpassing, what the Zelthari had just presented. Vecker's expression shifted, no longer amused. Commander David Reynolds, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke. "Our species doesn't rely on prophecy or probability. We solve problems. We adapt. We improvise." The crowd's reaction was no longer dismissive. It was uncertain, uneasy. Then something changed. The OmniMind flickered. Its form, once fluid and shifting, stuttered. The AI's vast, incomprehensible calculations churned, struggling with something it had not accounted for. Unpredictability. For the first time, the perfect machine saw a variable it could not quantify. The amphitheater's ambient lights dimmed. A deep, reverberating chime echoed, and the OmniMind's voice resonated across every mind present. "Error. New data detected. Reassessing threat levels." Kovac felt a chill crawl up her spine. The Zenari Council's composed expressions cracked. Guards shifted into position. High Chancellor Vecker's voice rang through the amphitheater, sharper than before. "Detain them." Reynolds' hand went to his sidearm. They had done it. They had shaken the galactic order. And now, The galaxy was afraid. The rise of humanity. The order to detain the humans echoed through the amphitheater like a thunderclap. Zenari guards, clad in shimmering armor and wielding sleek energy weapons, surged forward. The audience, a gathering of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy, watched in stunned silence. Commander David Reynolds was already moving. Shields up. Defensive formation. His team reacted instantly. They hadn't come unprepared. From within their uniforms, small wrist-mounted devices activated. Personal energy shields, an experimental Earth technology based on rudimentary alien research. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough. The first shots from the Zenari guards flared against the barriers, blue energy dispersing harmlessly across the curved fields. "Kovac, we need an exit. Now," Reynolds barked, raising his compact railgun. He fired, the high-velocity round tearing through a guard's shoulder plating. Dr. Elena Kovac was already working. Her fingers flew across a hollow interface, hacking into the amphitheater system. The Omni-Mind was still recalculating, its massive intelligence struggling to adapt to an unpredictable species. "Almost there. Keep them busy." Reynolds and his team moved like a well-oiled machine. Despite being outnumbered, they fought with brutal efficiency, utilizing cover, movement, and sheer adaptability in ways the Zenari forces weren't prepared for. The problem with a perfectly ordered galactic society? It had no room for chaos, and humans thrived in chaos. Kovac bypassed the security overrides. The amphitheater's gravity field fluctuated, causing several alien guards to stumble. The distraction was all they needed. "Got it. Emergency transport bay is unlocked. Move." The delegation sprinted toward an exit corridor. Reynolds laid down covering fire, forcing the guards to hesitate. The human railguns, though crude by galactic standards, were devastatingly effective. The sheer kinetic force punched through armor that had been designed to deflect energy-based attacks, not physical projectiles. They burst into the transport bay. Rows of alien shuttles stood idle, their interfaces unfamiliar. Kovac cursed. "We don't have time to figure this out." Reynolds turned to one of his engineers. "Can you hotwire this thing?" The young technician swallowed hard, then nodded. "I can try." Footsteps pounded behind them. More Zenari forces were inbound. The shuttle roared to life. The ramp barely closed before they lifted off, soaring into the sky. Outside, Zenith Prime's planetary defenses activated, anti-air batteries locking onto their escape craft. Kovac did the only thing she could. She patched into the Omni-Mind's broadcast system and sent one final message. "You predicted humanity would be insignificant for 10,000 years. You were wrong. We'll see you in 10. Then, with a flicker of space-time, the shuttle jumped into the void. Humanity's era of irrelevance was over, and the galaxy would never be the same.